of my alarm into one of my dreams, and I thought, who on earth is ringing the bell? And I thought, oh, it's the photographer. So I rushed downstairs from the two-room Barsati in which I live. Rushed out. I said, look, I'm really sorry, Rohit. I hate being late. I hate keeping people waiting. I hate having people keep me waiting. But just hold on. I'll shave. I'll shower. Just set up downstairs. And I was halfway up the stairs when he said, stop. You can shave, but you can't unshave. And what I want is exactly that look. As if you've been arrested. So that was what happened. It was a completely natural shot, though he did make me hold up a little blackboard, rather like in a police mugshot saying, not a criminal. But that was it. Now my parents, I don't know whether they were more disturbed about my being on the cover of the Indian saying not a criminal, or looking so slovenly and unshaven. And my first reaction when I saw the takes was, my God, no one will ever sleep with me again. But so I show you, I did not do it willingly, and I mean, not to make too light of the matter, I also that afternoon shaved scrupulously for lunch with the Hindu, and I looked like some kind of dishy executive with my father's cufflinks and wind-up watch and a tie and suit, and so I mean, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde both appeared in their various guises that day. Now, as far as the criticism for being the poster boy, you have to get the attention of people. So many things are happening that to do something, if you put up, an ordinary picture of me just sort of saying, 377 is wrong, people are not going to be grabbed by it. Unfortunately, that's the truth of the matter. However, the article I wrote inside was, I hope, not a sensationalist article, but at least deeply felt by me article about not just the question of the people of the same gender being treated, but people of the same village, or people of different castes, or people of different religions. And the fact, maybe I should end with that passage if you want, the essay I wrote. Many people say, oh, but this is not Indian. That's complete nonsense. I mean, India had a much more take say Ayappa, probably other than the Kumbh, the very largest kind of it's the mating of Vishnu and Shiv, basically, which created this great god. Or take obviously Khajuraho, or take the Kam Sutra, which is a whole section about men making love with men. Or take, for example, the memoirs of Babur, where he very movingly describes the founder of the Mughal Empire, where he movingly describes his passion in his youth for a young man. Or take, for example, the poems of Mir Taqi Mir, to my mind the greatest Urdu poet. I like him even more than Ghalib, but Ghalib said, he said, don't give yourself airs, O Ghalib, about your poetry. They tell us that in the previous generation there was someone called Mir.
Can you say that in Urdu?
Rekhta, I didn't call it Urdu. He said something like, Rekhta mein tum ustad nahi ho Ghalib. Nahi, tum hi ustad, or something, tum ustad, something nahi ho Ghalib. कहते हैं कि अगले ज़माने में एक मीर भी थे. I can't remember it exactly, but something like that. I mean, this is Mir's poetry is very obviously homoerotic, and yet it's some of the most moving poetry ever. So this nonsense that it's Indian, the law is the foreign law. It's homophobia that came into India, not homosexuality. So
one more, we can take one more question.
Sir, I just wanted to ask you.
I can't see you. Where are you?
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you that personally, has it been more difficult, or has it been easier for you to be homosexual abroad or in India?
Do you mean like physically?
No, like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing you. Well, yes, I mean, let me put it this way. It isn't a great comfort to be a criminal in your own country. The country you were born in, the country you still belong to, and the country that you love more than any other. Should I be a criminal in my own country? Or rather, why the none should I be a criminal in my own country? So my own view in terms of this business is, I remind myself that when I read this judgment of the Supreme Court, I remind myself that 4 years ago I read a brilliant and enlightened, a humane and a wise and logical judgment by the High Court, also 2 judges. Now if those 2 judges had been there and these 2 judges had been here, it would have been the opposite. But the one good thing that has happened in this case, these 4 years, these 4 interim years, is that many people have come out. And they're not going to be pushed back into a dark place, into a cabinet, into a closet again. So I would say that even in India, I would say that should not, I would hope that people would have the courage not to obey an unjust law. Though as I say, dark times might be upon us. What happened in the emergency was people knuckled under. And what might happen if things come to a pass where our privacy, and I'm not just talking about this particular case, but where our privacy and our dignities are infringed upon, who knows what's going to happen to us as a country. I don't know whether we should have enough faith in ourselves as a country, which is why it's so important to have faith in ourselves as individuals and to try to make up our own minds about what to do. Now, I haven't fully answered your question in some ways, but time is short, and I think what we might have to do is to wrap it up either with my... what I could do is actually I could read the poem by Babar and then end up with the essay from India Today, which you have brought, have you not? She said she'd bring it, but in fact I knew she wouldn't, so I brought it. Okay. Now, the memoir of Babar comes from, I translated it, or didn't translate it, I put it into verse. It's from the Babar Nama. And I would rather read it from a physical book, but since I'm not sure anyone has, what's it called? The Humble Administrator's Garden. Does anyone have it? No, okay.
Yes, people have it.
Could you possibly just bring it up? It's so much easier to. And I'll sign your book before I sign anyone else's. In the meanwhile, yes? Sure. You'll have to yell out your question and I will incorporate it in my answer.
Sir, we've already had one reading today. Could you please read out dubious for us?
Could I read out dubious? Okay, I'll read out dubious as well. Thank you so much. Just hang around, I'll make sure that's done. Dubious, I can recite it by heart. And actually, but let me make it very clear to you that, my view about, say, bisexuality, which I mentioned in dubious, is this, that you cannot say that you're not gay if you're bisexual. You can say, yes, you are straight, sure, but you are gay. If as a woman, you've loved a woman, if as a man, you've loved a man, then you're not the less gay because you've also had a love affair across the gender divide, so to speak. So here's the poem, Dubious. Some men like Jack and some like Jill. I'm glad I like them both, but still, I wonder if this freewheeling really is an enlightened thing. Or is its greatest scope the sign of deviance from some party line? In the strict ranks of gay and straight, what is my status? Stray or great? And here's Babar. It's very interesting. I think books should not only have indexes, books of poetry, of first lines, which is how I managed to find this poem, but also indexes of last lines. Because quite often you really remember the last line of a poem and not the first. And I think That's what I'll do in my next collected poems. I'll have an index of first and an index of last lines. From the Baburnama, Memoirs of Babur, first Mughal Emperor of India. A lad called Baburi lived in the camp bazaar. Odd how our names matched. I became fond of him. Nay, to speak truth, distracted after him. I had never before this been in love or witnessed words expressive of passion, but now I wrote some Persian verses. Never was lover so wretched, so enamored, so dishonored as I, and others of this type. Sometimes Baburi came to see me, and I, Babur, could scarcely look him in the face, much less talk to him, amuse him, or disclose the matter weighing on me. So joyful was I could not thank him for visiting. How then could I reproach him for departing? I lacked even the self-command to be polite to him. Passing one day through a narrow lane with only a few companions, suddenly, face to face, I met him, and I almost fell to pieces. I could not meet his eyes or say a word. Shame overcame me. I passed on and left him, and Muhammad Salih's verses came to my mind. I am abashed whenever I see my love. My friends look at me, I look another way. This passion in my effervescent youth drove me through lane and street. This passion in my effervescent youth drove me through lane and street, barefoot, bareheaded, through orchard, vineyard, neglecting the respect and attention due both to myself and others. During my passion, I was deranged nor knew that such is the state of one who is in love. Sometimes afflicted, I would roam alone over the mountains and deserts. Sometimes I wandered from street to street, in suburbs and in gardens. To such a state did you reduce me, O heart. I could not stand or walk, remain or go.
So we've had a lot of love, a lot of law in this session, so I think you should conclude with a poem on love.
A poem on love?
Yes, that one.
All right.
The older book.
The older book.
No, the younger book.
I thought that I would finish with that reading, but I mean, I'm quite happy to finish any way you like. You think that's a bit long?
Yes. No, you finish that, then you read this.
Aye, ma'am. So, the poem on love perhaps should just be All You Who Sleep Tonight, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I know why that bag was so heavy.
What? I tend to carry my world on my back, and the reason is because I like saving time. So I dump everything that I could possibly need in my backpack, and so here it is. This is the essay. The cover, no one can see it, but it's just this kind of mugshot. But the essay is. The essay is just called 11, 12, 13, Some Thoughts. And by that I just mean the 11th of December 2013 when this judgment came down. Just some thoughts. It's divided in 3 parts. 1. Of all the cruelties that we as human beings can visit on one another, one of the most cruel is to say, you shall not love or make love with the person you love. Not because of excessive youth or because of unwillingness, but because he or she comes from a different religion, a different caste, the same village, the same gender. You may say you love each other, that you are happy with each other, that you give each other solace and courage and delight, but your love disgusts me. It runs counter to custom. It is an offense in law. It is against the order of nature. It brings dishonor to our family. It will dilute our blood. It will bring about Kali Yuga. It will corrupt everyone around you. It is an abomination in the sight of the Lord. It must be forbidden. You may say you love each other, but I do not care. No, I cannot turn away and simply let you live your life in peace and happiness. I must do something about it. I will indeed do something about it. No, you have not harmed me, but I will harm you. I will disown you. I will treat you with contempt. I will make you an outcast or a criminal. I will lock you up. I will break your legs. I will fling acid in your face. I will hang you from a crane. I will stone you to death. If the mob helps me, so much the better. If the law helps me, so much the better. If I can wrap myself in a flag, so much the better. If I can drape religion around myself, so much the better. But by one means or another, I will tear the two of you apart. It is fit and proper that I should do this. I will do this because my clan tells me to, my panchayat tells me to, this book tells me to, this section of this act tells me to, civilization itself tells me to, God himself tells me to. No appeal to reason will touch me. No appeal to humanity will touch me. No appeal to Indian history or modern science will touch me. My brain is a science-free zone. My brain is a history-free zone. My brain is a fact-free zone. This, at the core, is a simple matter. My love is right. Your love is wrong. 2. What can one say to people who think this way? How can one understand their frame of mind? People who, not content with living their own lives, seek to destroy the life, the liberty, the happiness of others. One bludgeons his daughter to death because she loves a boy from the same village. Another seeks to blackmail or send to prison 2 men because they love each other. Another forcibly separates a woman from her girlfriend and rapes her to teach her the right kind of sex. Another hangs his son because he falls in love with a woman from a different caste. Another pours acid on his sister's face because she falls in love outside her religion. The mindset is the same. All believe they are doing good, which is what gives them the license to do evil. What is in their heart is neither humanity, nor the love which, we are told, lies at the root of true religion. The poison comes not from within, but from without. From the plausible priest, the blustering Baba, the menacing mullah, the members of the Kap Panchayat, the political party that whips up the mob in the search for votes, the enforcers and justifiers of unjust laws. 3. We live on a small planet of an unimportant star. Life is not easy for anyone here. Loss and fear, failure and disappointment, pain and ill health, doubt and death. Even those who have escaped from poverty have no escape from these. What makes life bearable is love. To love, to be loved, and even after death or parting, to know that you have loved and been loved. To not be able to love the one you love is to have your life wrenched away. To do this to far from the ones you love, no hand to left or right, and emptiness above. Know that you aren't alone. The whole world shares your tears, some for 2 nights or 1, and some for all their years.
Thank you, friends. So that's Vikram. So thank you, Vikram. Thank you very, very much. hope to see many of you tomorrow, same place, 2 o'clock. So this concludes day 2. We have our afterwards at Calcutta Club. So please head out there soon. Thanks.
Could I just return these books to the people whose they are?
Those who wish to have their books signed, you could come that way and just make a disciplined queue. Yes, disciplined queue will happen.